This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Hi, friends. So good evening. In this Business Intelligence Master Program, so today our interview question is how to create event-based triggers. How to create event-based triggers. So for this, we are going to learn what is trigger, how many types of triggers available in Azure Data Factory V2, and what is event-based trigger, and key points. Okay. Today we are going to deep dive into event-based trigger, and tomorrow we will see tumbling window and schedule based like a scheduled window, because that is also one of the very important question. What is the difference between scheduled trigger and tumbling window trigger? So we will do it with practicals, and then we will list out all the differences between those two things. Okay. So then there are some key points that we need to know, so those things we will discuss now. Demo. So in this demo, what I am trying to do is, first I will show you how to trigger pipeline when new file uploaded into Azure storage account. So remember, Azure storage account must be version 2. This is the mandatory thing, because this event trigger will work with Azure storage version 2 and Azure data lake storage gen 2. Okay, only these two storages will support event based triggers. Next, how to trigger pipeline on file deleted from Azure storage account. So this storage account also version 2. Whenever new file uploaded into Azure storage account V2, and whenever file deleted from Azure storage account V2, you are going to run a pipeline. So these two scenarios we will look into, we are going to see as a demo. Next, we are also going to see how to avoid running pipeline when file size is 0 bytes in Azure storage account. So what we are trying to tell at this particular first demo is, we are saying whenever new file uploaded, I want to run, whenever I uploaded a new file into Azure storage account V2, immediately I want to run my pipeline. But why you are running pipeline immediately? Because you received an event saying that some new file came, you want to process it. But if the file is empty, there is no data in it, what is the use of processing this particular file? So that's why I want to avoid in such cases. In which case I want to avoid? I want to avoid running pipeline when file size is 0 bytes. Okay, so how you can replicate this particular issue? So we are going to see this also as a demo. Next, how to trigger pipeline when new file uploaded into Azure data lake storage gen 2. So here these three labs we are going to see with respect to the Azure storage account V2, but next three labs we are going to see with respect to the Azure data lake storage gen 2. Okay, Azure data lake storage gen 2, and here also see here in new file uploaded into Azure data lake storage gen 2, when new file deleted from Azure data lake storage gen 2. Next, how to avoid running pipeline when file size is 0 bytes in Azure data lake storage gen 2. Okay, we are going to see how to avoid running pipeline when file size is 0 bytes in Azure data lake storage gen 2. So these are the total 6 labs we are going to see. So along with this, I have one more lab, that is how to use event trigger captured properties. What happens is, whenever you uploaded a file into storage account, it may be normal storage account V2, blob storage account V2, or data lake storage gen 2, where you are going to upload this particular file, you will have a folder path. So you are going to upload this file into particular folder, so you need to have a, you will get that particular folder path, plus you will have a file name. So when you combine file name plus folder path, that will be the total location of that particular file. Now what our event trigger will do is, event trigger will capture this entire information. It will give you two parameters. One parameter is folder path, it will give you. Another property is, it will give you file name. Okay, these two things it will give. So we are going to see how to use these two things in your pipeline. Okay, clear? So these are the things that we are going to discuss in today's session. Okay. friends. So everybody is good till here?
Yes, Malay.
Okay, clear. Please let me know if my voice breaks or something. Okay, if my voice is clear, not clear, or the screen gets stuck. So at any point in time, if you face such type of issue, immediately report to me. Okay. So now we will go and see all these labs. Okay, these are the labs we have planned. Now we will see what is trigger. See, triggers are another way that you can execute a pipeline. See, normally based on demand, you can run the Azure Data Factory pipeline, but triggers are the another way. Okay, it's not on demand. You want to run as per requirement. You want to run a pipeline regularly. It's not on demand one time. It's regular process. I want to run a pipeline every day at 6 a.m. IST, something like that. So you can create a triggers. Okay. Triggers are another way that you can execute a pipeline run. What it means is you are going to run a pipeline by using triggers. Okay, next. Triggers represents a unit of processing that determines when a pipeline execution needs to be kicked off. What it means, trigger is going to tell pipeline when you need to execute. So pipeline, when it has to execute, that information will be there in the trigger. So in the trigger, you are going to mention, you are going to schedule it. Okay, so that is the type of trigger. Now we remember trigger is nothing but another way to execute your pipeline. That is the one word. Now based on the scheduled or based on how you have configured, it is going to kick off your pipeline execution. Next, so data factory supports three types of triggers. Basically, first type is schedule trigger, a trigger that invokes a pipeline on a wall clock schedule. What it means is you are going to tell I want to run every day at 6 a.m. whether I want to run it every day evening at 6 p.m. something like that. Okay, but when, like, you can also say you can attach two pipelines to same you can attach two triggers to same pipeline. Okay, you can attach two scheduled trigger to same pipeline. Let's imagine I have a trigger 1, trigger 2, both are scheduled triggers. I have a pipeline 1, so I'm attaching these two to the my trigger, my pipeline. Okay, I have two triggers, I'm attaching to the same pipeline. Now what happens is trigger 1 is going to run my pipeline at 6 a.m. My trigger 2 is going to run my pipeline at 6 o'clock 1 minute. So immediately, so what happens is when my pipeline is going to run, okay, it will overlap. Overlap means immediately it is going to, like, another trigger also going to execute same pipeline. Maybe two triggers is going to start my pipeline at 6 o'clock, meaning same pipeline is going to run twice. Okay, something like that. But in tumbling window trigger means you will have a periodic intervals. What it means is, example, I want to run for every 5 minutes. If you say, it is going to create some fixed length. Okay, example 7 to 7:30 I want to run for every 5 minutes. Then it will create some windows. 7 to 7:05 is one window. 7:05 to 7:10 is one window. 7:10 to 7:15 is one window. 7:15 to 7:20 one window. 7:20 to 7:25, 7:25 to 7:30. So total it will create 6 windows. So every 5 minutes it is going to run your pipeline. Next, you can also create some dependency. So if my another pipeline succeeded, then only I want to run this particular tumbling window. Okay, I want to run this particular pipeline. So some kind of dependency you can able to create it by using tumbling window trigger. But if you use any other trigger, you cannot maintain the dependency. Example, I have pipeline 1 and pipeline 2. So once pipeline 1 is successfully executed, then only I want to run pipeline 2. So for that kind of dependency, you can able to maintain it by using tumbling window. But we are not going to discuss much about schedule trigger and tumbling window at this point in time. So next session we will talk about those things. So today completely we will focus on event based trigger. So a trigger that responds to an event. Event means it may be new file arrived into the blob storage, you uploaded one file. Okay, that is one event. You deleted a file, that is one more event. Okay, whenever some event occurs, so based on these events, it is going to respond, meaning it is going to start your pipeline execution. So what in real time, this is very, very important scenario, because every client wants to run their pipelines immediately when new file added or new data comes into your blob storage or data lake storage gen 2, because they don't want to wait. Example, you received a actual data at 6 a.m. and you are processing at 10 a.m. So you need to wait for 4 hours to process. When file comes immediately, you can process. Why you are waiting for 4 hours? Because you are not using event based trigger. If you use event based trigger, what happens is you can immediately understand that new data added into this particular folder, then you can pick that folder and you can process it with the help of event triggers. Okay, so we will see with the practicals how we can do that. Next, you need to remember very important, this is pipelines triggers have a many to many relationship. What it means is pipeline 1 I have, okay, pipeline 1 I have a 2 triggers, trigger 1, trigger 2. Trigger 1 is going to call a pipeline at 6 a.m. Another trigger will call a pipeline at 6 p.m. These 2 triggers I will attach to a pipeline 1. Now, can anybody tell me how many times my pipeline is going to run? Dabashish, can you tell me how many times my pipeline is going to run? Raju sir, can you tell me how many times my pipeline is going to run? I have attached 2 triggers. Trigger 1 will run a pipeline at 6 a.m. My trigger 2 will run a pipeline at 6 p.m.
2 times.
Very good. So pipeline will be executed twice. Okay. Why can't you do this particular scenario with single trigger? Yes, I am not talking about the scenario. Just I am telling 2 triggers you can attach to the same pipeline. That is what my intention. My intention is not building the solution. Just I am telling you 2 triggers you can attach to the same pipeline. Okay, this is one scenario. Okay, keep it aside. Next, I have a trigger. Okay, I have a trigger which is going to run a pipeline at 6 a.m. Okay, now I have 2 pipelines, pipeline 1 and pipeline 2. Now I will attach the same trigger to 2 pipelines. Can you tell me these 2 pipelines, what time these 2 pipelines are going to execute? This trigger is going to run a pipeline at 6 a.m. I have 2 pipelines. For these 2 pipelines, I attach this trigger. Can you tell me these pipelines, when these pipelines will execute? Debashish, Harsha, anybody, friends?
Yeah, 6 a.m.
Very good. So 6 a.m. Now what you understood? One pipeline can have 2 triggers, meaning more than 1 trigger. Multiple triggers can have single pipeline. Single pipeline can have a multiple triggers. Next, single pipeline can have multiple triggers in the same way, reverse way. Single trigger you can attach to the multiple pipelines. Single trigger you can attach to the multiple triggers. What it means? It means many to many relationship. You can have a single pipeline which is going to have a multiple triggers. You will have a single trigger which you are going to attach to the multiple pipelines. A many to many relationship. But this kind of relationship you can able to create for your scheduled trigger, event based trigger, but you cannot create for tumbling window trigger. Remember, tumbling window trigger is one-to-one relationship. The trigger which you have used for one pipeline you cannot use for the other pipeline. Okay, clear, friends? One-to-one. For one pipeline you should have only one trigger. You cannot use same trigger somewhere else. Okay, next, another way is so one pipeline cannot have more than one tumbling window. Okay, I hope everybody is clear. You can see note point is pipelines and triggers have a many to many relationship except tumbling window. Here you can see multiple triggers can kick off a single pipeline. Okay, so next point is basically, I don't know why it went like that. Let me just hide this thing. So a single trigger can kick off multiple pipelines. That is the second point which I have. Okay, multiple triggers can kick off a single pipeline. Second point I have is single trigger can kick off a multiple pipelines. Okay, let me go to the next slide. So you can see here a single trigger can kick off multiple pipelines. Let me go to next. Here, what is the event-based trigger? So data integration scenarios often require data factory customers to trigger pipeline based on events such as the arrival of a file or deletion of a file in your Azure storage account. What happens is whenever new data added, whenever some data is deleted from your Azure storage account, you want to process the data immediately. So that is the data integration scenarios where most of the customers are looking for. So we need to build these kind of solutions for them. Now, An event-based trigger runs pipelines in a response to an event. What are those responses? Such as the arrival of a file or the deletion of a file in Azure Blob storage. So whenever you added it, whenever new file comes, or when you deleted the existing file, in all these cases, you are going to run the pipeline. Next key point. Make sure, so if you want to create event trigger, make sure that your subscription is registered with the event grid resource provider. Event grid is nothing but a all for all these things to happen, you have a event grid which is going to operate in the backend, okay, which is going to identify the events which are occurring in source side, and it is going to send these response to the event handlers. So all this process will happen with the help of event grid. So that's why you need to register this event grid at the subscription level. Okay, I will tell you how you can register this particular event grid in your subscription. Next, the event trigger currently supports only Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 and general purpose version 2 storage account. What it means? If you add a new file into Data Lake Storage Gen 2, then you can run a pipeline. When you add a new file into storage account V2, you can run a pipeline. But if you add a file into Data Lake Storage Gen 1, you cannot run a event-based trigger. Meaning, event triggers will support only Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 and general purpose version 2 storage accounts. Next, you must have at least owner access on the storage account. So when you are creating, okay, you need to have a, when you are creating event trigger, you make sure that we have owner access on the storage account. Next, Azure Data Factory only supports a maximum of 500 event triggers per storage. Okay, maximum you can create 500 event triggers per storage. So these are the key points that you need to remember. So how to use event trigger? Okay, captured properties. So captured properties means, as I said, it is going to give you folder path where you have uploaded the file and the uploaded file name. So those two things it will give, folder path and file name. These two things dynamically you can take and you can use those things. I will tell you how you can use, but these are the two queries you are going to use to fetch that folder name and file name. Okay, second thing is, not only this, you can use these queries in a different way. See, these two also you can use. So replacement, you can use this or this, both will give same. Okay, see, outputs.body.folder path or trigger body.folder, something like that. If you ask in these two cases, anyway you ask, you will get the same result. In the same way, file name, both queries will give the same result. Okay, both properties will give same result. Now, required resources. What are the required resources? We need Azure Data Factory V2. We need storage account V2. Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 I need. Okay, because so whenever I uploaded a file into storage account V2, I need to run a pipeline. Whenever I deleted a file from storage account V2, I need to run a pipeline. Next, whenever file added into Data Lake Storage Gen 2, I need to run a pipeline. Whenever I deleted some file from Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, I need to run the pipeline. That's why I need, these are the three required resources. Next, overview diagram. So whenever I uploaded a new file into my blob storage V2, what it has to do, it should run a pipeline. Next, in the same way, whenever I uploaded a file into Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, it should run a pipeline. So this is our overview diagram. So that's all with respect to the slides. Let me go and do the demo. So what is our first demo? Let me quickly go back and see the demos which I have. So these are the demos we have planned. First demo is how to trigger pipeline when new file uploaded into storage account. So for this, what are the services you need? So first thing is, you need a storage account V2. Then you need to create a pipeline. For this, you need Azure Data Factory and storage account V2. For our first demo, I will go and create Azure storage account V2 and one Azure Data Factory. Let's come here and log in into the portal.azure.com. cloudpandit@outlook.com. Let me enter password here. Click yes. Okay, we are here. So now what you need to do, you just come here, search for Azure storage. Okay, click on storage account. Click on add storage account. So I'm just giving here my resource. I need to give the resource group name, that is, you can say interview questions. Let me just say interview questions -rg. Okay, interview questions -rg. Now, so storage account name. This storage is Cloud Pandit V2 storage. Okay, you can see I am just creating this in a EC2S. Next thing is performance. You can see standard and premium. So all these things we discussed as part of our training. But here, as I discussed in the slide, it should be version 2, storage V2. That's why I'm selecting storage V2. Click review plus create. Then create. So your storage account will create. Now open one more tab. Let's open your browser, and you can open your portal in another tab here. So here I will create our Azure Data Factory. How to create Azure Data Factory? You can click on Data Factories. Let's click add to create the data factories. Pre-trials. So this is my resource group. Next, I want to create it in EC2S, and name of my data factory is, you can say, ADF Cloud Pandit, or you can say Cloud Pandit ADF. Okay, Cloud Pandit ADF. This name is taken by somebody. So now just try to put ADF V2. So this name is also taken. Okay, Cloud Pandit ADF V2. So version 2 we are using. Git configuration. So as part of our training, we have seen how to configure, but for now I don't want to configure. Click networking. So networking, leave them blank. Tags, if you want to give any key value paste, you can give, otherwise leave them blank. Review plus create. Validation past, you can create it. Okay. Now come to storage account. Okay, so meanwhile the data factory creates, come to storage account and go to resource. I'm here. I want to go inside container. I want to create a one container. Come here. I want to create a container called global. Okay. I want to create a container called global. Just you can say create a container, like container I have created. So inside this, what I am trying to do is, say I have a global. Inside this, when I am uploading a file, I will upload file into input in. So in this, I will upload some CSV file. I will upload some CSV file. Remember, what happens is, when I upload CSV file inside my input folder, this input folder is available inside global container. Okay. Now what happens is, whenever you upload the CSV file inside this input folder, my Azure Data Factory pipeline will trigger. ADF pipeline will trigger. That's how I'm going to configure my ADF pipeline. So, but my actual pipeline, what it is going to do is, when you run a pipeline, it is going to pick the file which you have uploaded into this folder. It will read this particular file and it will write the data into global container. Same inside global container, it will create a output folder. In that output folder, it will place all CSV files. Whatever CSV file it is reading from here, that it will place here. So basically, I am not going to create this. I am not going to create this as well right now. When I create my trigger, okay, event trigger, to run that event trigger, I will upload the CSV file. When I upload CSV file, automatically my event trigger identifies this file. There is a new file added into blob, and it will pick this file from this input folder which is there inside global container, and it will load, like it will copy into a output folder which is there in same global container. Okay, clear what we are trying to achieve? Okay, here we will have a CSV file. Now let's go and say I'm not doing anything. I just created a global folder. I created, but I have not done anything. I have not completed these two. Now come to data factory, go to resource. Click on author and monitor. So first, what is my source? My source and sink. So you can see what I am planning to do is I want to read data from blob storage. I want to write data into blob storage. So how many connections I need? I need only one connections to my blob storage. One connection to my blob storage. Where we will create connections? Come to manage. Let's create liquid service. Click new. So what we are planning, we are going to have our data in a blob storage. Blob storage. Click continue. I'm just saying it's a blob connection. Okay, come down through account key. I'm authenticating all these things, you know, as we learned. Okay, test connection if you want to check. Connection will be successful. Created. Connection is successful. You can create it. So now once you have connection ready, you can able to create two data sets. One is your source data set. Another one is sync data set. Come to author tab. Let's create a data set, new data set. This is from blob storage. Select blob storage. Click continue. As CSV file I will upload. Okay, continue. This is what your source data set. You can say source data set. You can use the existing connection we just created and browse. If you browse, you will see only global folder. As I said, I'm going to pick my file input CSV. So global, you can manually enter your input and file name. I don't know what file I will upload, but I know input folder. Inside input folder I will upload. I know this, but I don't know what file I will upload. That's why I cannot give this. Leave it blank, and you can say file row as header. Okay, now you need to understand. So when I am setting my source path, I have just said global slash input. So I am not giving any file name because I may have a multiple files inside this input folder. Now you are reading CSV file, whenever you are writing a CSV file, you need to explicitly mention header equal to true. Then only while it is reading, it will identify your actual headers. Otherwise, headers will go into your data. In the same way, when you are writing, if you're not specifying your headers, it will ignore the headers. Okay, so that's why we need to say first row as a header. Next, as we don't have any data, you cannot import schema. Schema means if the data is available, it will scan entire data. It will identify what is the data type of each column. As we don't have any data, we cannot scan it. We cannot import schema. Click none. Click OK. This is my source data set is ready. Let me create a now sync data set, new data set. This is for blob storage only. Click continue. So as a CSV, I want to do as is. This is what? This is my sync data set. You can say sync data set. And you can use exactly same connection because we are writing data to same folder. So this is global. Inside this, as I said, I am going to load this data into output folder. You can see I want to load data into output folder. Okay, meaning data set I have selected the sync data set. I have selected what? Global slash output. Global slash output. You can see global slash output. First as header you need to say, as we don't have data, you cannot import schema. Click none. So you have two things ready. Let's create a pipeline. This pipeline is basically copy activity, drag the copy activity. So in this copy activity, what is your source data set? Your source data set is source data set only. Your sync is sync data set. Okay, now you want to know from where to where you are moving. Come to user properties, click auto generate. So it will tell you it is like you are reading data from this and writing to here. Okay, source is this, destination is here. Okay, you got this user properties. Okay, next. This input folder and files are not available. Now I am going to run this particular pipeline based on the events. What is that event? Whenever new file is added into this input folder, this input folder is available in global. That's how I'm going to create my event trigger. How to create event trigger? Now let's see how to create event trigger. Click add trigger, click new slash edit if you want to create a new trigger.
Malay, I think to
Yeah.
put to dot CSV.
Yes, tell me.
Yeah, we have to put .csv,
What?
.txt it is there in source and sync.
Where?
In source,
Where?
inside source, go to source,
Hmm.
source property. After general, source is there. General,
After?
then source. No, no, go to this top source. Yeah, yeah. So extension, I think we have to put
Okay.
.csv. Come below.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
below.
That I'm coming back. That I'm coming back. Don't worry,
Okay, okay,
Devashish.
okay,
I'm going to come back.
okay,
It
okay.
is now what Devashish is trying to tell you is, so our pipeline will not publish, because what you are trying to do is you are trying to read a files from this particular input like input folder. So in this input folder you may have a multiple files. So that's why what this pipeline wants to know is what type of files you want to read. So select wildcard file path and you can say here star.csv, meaning if the extension is .csv, just pick all those files. Star.csv means star means it may be any name of the CSV file, but extension should be CSV. Pick all those such type of files from the input container, input folder which is there in global content. That's what he wants to is telling. Okay, right, Debashish? Yeah. Now let's see now how to create event trigger. As I said, click add trigger. You can see new / edit. What it means is you can create a new trigger or you can edit the existing trigger. Click new / edit. You can see you don't have any triggers. If you have triggers, it will appear here. As you don't have any trigger, click new. I want to create a new trigger. It's basically a event trigger. Say event trigger. Okay. So event trigger means if you want to give some description, you can give created by Pandit. If you want to give something, you can give. It's an event. Okay, event trigger, not scheduler term. So next I need to identify storage. In which storage events you want to identify? From which storage events you want to identify? In the storage, V2 storage, I have a global container. Whenever events occurred inside this container, okay, inside the global container, I am also going to specify here global container. I'm also going to specify it's a input folder. So this is a global container. What I'm trying to tell is please capture the events which are happening in the storage, in this container, in this folder. Whenever you see .csv file, okay, blob path ends with, meaning file name is ends with .csv. Please identify such type of files. Whenever such type of files is uploaded, whenever such type of files deleted, please use this particular trigger to run this particular pipeline. Okay, ignore empty blobs. What we are trying to tell is ignore empty blobs. Empty blobs means whenever you see 0 bytes files uploaded, such a type of files, for such type of files, don't respond it event trigger, don't run this particular pipelines whenever you see a 0 bytes file uploaded. Okay, so whether 0 bytes file uploaded or deleted, don't run or don't run this particular pipeline. So that's how you're going to inform. Next, do you want to activate this particular trigger immediately? Yes, I want to make sure that this is active. Annotations. If you want to identify, if you want to filter out your multiple triggers, out of multiple triggers, so which which trigger we are using for this particular pipeline, for that if you want to use something, example I will say Cloud Pandit here. Some annotations if you want to use, you can use. Okay. For now, this is not mandatory. Okay. This is just to identify when you have a hundreds of triggers, you want to filter out and identify which all triggers are active or something. Okay. Based on annotations, you can able to filter out. Just to click continue. So you can see container name is this and starts with this and ends with .csv. Click continue. Click OK. Now you can publish all. So now just say publish, just say publish. So now it is going to publish. Once it is published, I will upload file into this input.csv, like inside input folder I will upload CSV file. Then immediately pipeline, like our event trigger identifies that we uploaded a new file and it will run our pipeline. It will copy data from input folder to output folder. But before to run this particular event trigger, So if you are doing same thing which I have done, it will not work for you. Why? The reason is I registered event grid in my subscription, but you people have not registered. So to register your event grid in subscription, go inside subscription, click on this free trial. If you have free trial, pay as you go. If you have pay as you go, Visual Studio, if you have, you can go with Visual Studio based on that. Let's click on resource provider. In this resource provider, you can see here search with event. See event grid. Event grid is already registered. Example, for you, in your case, event grid will appear something like non-register. Select that particular item, you can say register. Then after some time, it will appear something registered. Okay, this is how you need to register. Okay, now where is my data factory? Here, my data. It's published. Now I'm not running. Come to monitor tab. Okay. Okay, our pipeline will not run because we need to upload a file. Come here, going to see I am inside global container. I'm uploading a file. Just upload blob here. Select this. Click on desktop. Let me go with some data which I have here. You see course data I have. Select that. And when I'm uploading, I don't want to upload directly under global, right? So I said I will upload this file in a input folder. So that's why you need to create an input folder. Inside that input folder, you need to upload this file. Upload this, then come to your Azure Data Factory immediately. Refresh this and see. See now, event triggered by event, and this pipeline is running. Okay, just click on that pipeline. Now you have this activity. Now you just click user properties to understand from where to where you move. You move data from global inside a global container input file. You move to global inside global container output folder. Okay, you have not moved the file. You just copied that content. What it means is still you will have a data here. Still you will have a data here also. Let's go here. Okay, let's refresh this. You will see output folder here immediately. See output folder. Go inside this output folder. See course data.csv came. Okay. So what happened? Event occurred. Now come here. I will go outside all pipelines. Now you can see my pipeline is succeeded. Okay. Now you have to be very careful. Now I'm going to delete CSV file, like whatever course data.csv I have, right? So this entire input, like this entire things I will delete. What it means is actually I'm deleting this file. So when I delete this file, what my Python is trying to do is it will try to read from this particular folder, like input folder, but that folder will not exist. That's why it will not be able to copy any data into output. Okay, but it will not fail. It will simply ignore because you don't have any data to copy. It will simply ignore because we said if you have any files with .csv extension, please copy, otherwise ignore. Okay, that's how we have used the wildcard. So that's why when I delete this, again immediately deletion also event. So it will identify this deletion, our pipeline will run, but when my pipeline run, nothing is going to happen. Okay, that you can be able to see. Now come to global. Go inside here. Okay, go inside your input folder because you cannot delete these folders outside the like input folder. You cannot delete directly. It's a flat file structure. Okay, that's why go inside input. Now select this file and I'm going to delete. So when I delete it, come to Azure Data Factory here, refresh this, your event will occur immediately. See event trigger. Okay, again event trigger occurred, so it is triggering your pipeline again. So this is also succeeded. But if you go inside pipeline one, you can see what it has done. It's not copied anything. You can see that. Okay, just click on this class. You can see files read is 0, files written is 0. Okay, so nothing happened because it did not find any file in input side. Okay, now we have seen whenever you upload a new file, it is like running the pipeline. We are able to run the pipeline. Whenever you see new file is deleted, you are able to run the pipeline. Okay, now our final, what is our next step? You can see here how to trigger pipeline when new file uploaded into Azure storage account. We have seen how to trigger pipeline on file deleted from Azure storage account. We have seen. Now we will see how to
Malaya,
avoid running pipeline when file size is 0. Yes, yes.
Malaya, what is the need when if the file gets deleted? So pipeline will trigger, right? So what is the need of that to run that pipeline?
Example, whenever some deletion happened, you want to send a notification by using some pipeline. So for such type of notifications to send, you need to run a pipeline. Okay, clear? So because
Okay.
some data is deleted means you need to take some action, right? So whether it is a really critical data, somebody is deleted by mistake, or it is happened purposefully. So you need to understand. So for that, you need to receive a notification whenever such type of things happen. Okay, clear?
Okay.
Now let's see
And one
how to avoid.
yesterday the pipeline isn't triggered, right? Why? Because of we haven't defined user properties. That's why, right?
That I will discuss. That I will discuss. Okay, then don't. So how to avoid running pipeline when file size is 0 byte? Let me first finish all these tasks, okay? Because we are already out of time. We are crossing on. Okay. So here, like your top like pipeline is ran. Now what I wanted to do, now you can see like in monitor tab on the IAM, come out of this, you can see all pipelines. Here you have a pipeline 1 and a pipeline 2. Now I will upload a 0 bytes file. We'll see how to create 0 byte CSV file. Don't create from Excel, it will be a problem. So open some notepad, select like save as. Okay, so what I will do in document, I will create because my desktop is completely full. So I will say no data, no 0 bytes dot csv. Okay, say 0 bytes dot csv file. Save it. Okay, now let me go inside computers. You can see documents. In this document you can see 0 bytes. So you can see 0 KB. Okay, there is no data, it's a completely 0 KB. Now I will upload that file. What is going to happen, we'll see. Come to global. You can see we don't have input folder because we just deleted that, but we still have a output folder. Now if you upload, your pipeline will not run. You can see that. Select this. The reason is we have selected ignore a blob equal to yes. Okay, now you see where is 0 bytes. Search for 0 bytes. Not here, right? In documents here. 0 bytes. You can see 0 bytes selected. So this is 0 bytes. Now I want to upload this particular file inside input folder. Let's upload inside input folder. Let's upload. Okay, now come to Azure Data Factory. Refresh this. See, pipeline is not going to run now. Okay, you can see, you can wait for how much time you want. Pipeline will not run. Okay, now just delete this. How will delete? Go inside, you can delete this. Pipeline will not run. Okay, pipeline will not run. Come to Azure Data Factory. Refresh this. Okay, but if you have any requirement where you want to process data even if you have a 0 bytes, so how you can do that? Okay, so for that, come back and see you don't have any input folder now. Okay, because we just deleted just now. You don't have any input folder. Now come back to your event trigger. You just have to modify your event trigger. Come to pipeline author tab. You can like modify this trigger from different places, but this is also one of the easiest way. Click edit, click on this particular event trigger which you want to edit. Tumbling window you cannot edit, but the other schedule window and event triggers you can edit. Now so what I want to do is ignore empty blob is no. Even if I see 0 bytes data, okay, I want to run a pipeline. That's why I'm saying no now. Click continue, click continue, click OK. Now you can say publish on. Publish. Once it is published, I will upload my source data. So now you can go and delete even output folder as well. Let me go and delete even output folder, because the 0 bytes data will be moved to here. Okay, understood, right? So now we are going to process even if you have a 0 bytes file. That particular scenario we will replicate. It is still publishing. Let's wait. So publishing is completed. Let's go to monitor tab. You can see only two times Python time. Now I'm going to upload this 0 bytes data again. Upload. Select this, and documents. In this documents we have 0 bytes data. This data I want to upload inside input folder. Come down, click upload. Okay. Now file is uploaded. Come to monitor tab, refresh. You can see pipeline started running. Okay, pipeline started running. It succeeded. Come to blob storage again, refresh this. You can see a output container. Inside output container you can see 0 bytes file. Okay, now I want to delete this particular file. Okay, what will happen? You will see again pipeline will run. Click OK. Come here, refresh this. See, again pipeline is running. So you can tell whether you want to process 0 bytes data. So for 0 bytes of files, whether it has to respond or it should not respond. So such type of things you can inform. Okay, so you can able to configure it with the help of event trigger. Okay, clear. So till here, anybody have any questions? So if you are clear till here, so I will go and discuss the remaining things. Okay, I hope everybody is clear, right? So Raju sir, Arsha, Surya, Shushmita, Abashish, everybody please respond. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now let's go to, okay, let's do now very important thing, because if we don't have much time, we will focus on these things. Okay, one or two things we will do with respect to Azure Data Lake Gen 2, other things exactly same how we have done in Azure with the Azure storage account. So, but we need to focus mainly on how to use event trigger captured properties. Now let's do one thing. Let me first complete at least one scenario for your Azure storage, Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. Okay, so we completed first 3 labs. Now I will go and show you how to trigger pipeline when new file uploaded into Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So for that exactly I'm going to do same. Okay, so what you will do, instead of storage account, avoid the storage account. Okay. Okay, so before I avoid, what I'm trying to do is I'm just planning to do this particular lab to use event trigger captured properties, because that is important thing. Okay, so remaining things even if able to do, if time permits I only will explain. Okay, let's do how to use event captured properties, event triggered captured properties. So what are those? First thing is come to this monitor tab. What I'm trying to do, the problem is what I'm trying to do is I'm just hard coding here some parts. You can see those things. Come to source. Inside source, see I'm opening data set, open data set. If you look at these values, I'm hard coding. I don't want to hard code this path global / import. I don't want to hard code that value. Okay, that is my first requirement. My second requirement is in sync side. Okay, even okay, that is okay. Only for your source side, let's say only for source side I don't want to hard code, because sync side that is okay, because we are not able to get the sync side details. So now what you can do is dynamically how you can pass your source data set path is create 2 parameters in your pipeline level. See, I am in pipeline level. Okay, just click here, you can see parameters. I'm opening 2 parameters you can open. One is source path, second one is source file. These are the 2 parameters I have opened. Both are names, that's why string data type. That is first thing. Now where I'm going to use these two things, remember, now click on this copy activity. Inside copy activity, I will use those things. So how you are going to use those things is, if you open this data set, okay, I'm opening data set again and again. I'm telling I'm opening data set, open data set. So here create two parameters inside data set. So when you are doing multiple table copy, we have done all these things. Okay, so this is like folder name. This is like file name. So I want to put folder name and file name. I have already. These two I will use here instead of hard coding. So I don't want to hard code this global. Okay. So I just said there are two parameters, folder name and file name. So these two things I will use here. Select it, add dynamic content, come down. You can say folder name. Select folder name, click finish. This query will give you here dynamically global / input. Next, come here, click add dynamic content and file name. I will select file. So this file name will get dynamically. But what is this folder name and file name? Whatever parameters we have defined here. But how you will assign actual value, actual global / input to these parameters is, go to pipeline here. Okay, so for these particular parameters, you need to assign a value now. How you will assign value? This value will be received by your pipeline parameters. You can see you will have a source path and a source file. You can select source path to select a like folder name. Next, select here. These are pipeline parameter. You can see @pipeline.parameters.source path. Now add dynamic content. Come down. You can say source file. Okay. Now you need to understand these are also dynamic parameters. So now you have a relation, right? Let me just open some paint. I will explain you. So what happens is, we are saying here, first we have a like pipeline parameters. Pipeline parameters. Next, these pipeline parameters, what we are doing is we are just passing to, okay, we are passing these things to, where we are passing these things, we are passing to dataset parameters. So dataset parameters, what you are doing with these things, with the dataset parameters, like I'm using these dataset parameters directly in your activity. Okay, to select that particular path dynamically, you are selecting the dataset parameter. So pipeline parameter we have. These pipeline parameters we are assigning to the dataset parameter. Dataset parameters you are using in this activity. But what pipeline parameters is going to pass? Pipeline parameters also actually a dynamic queries. So now somebody has to assign values to this pipeline parameters. Who is going to assign is trigger. Okay, your trigger will assign values to parameters, pipeline parameters. I will show you this now. So this particular pipeline parameters will receive values from trigger. So your source path, okay, source path equal to, it will say global / input. Okay, next source file. When you say source file, it will say actual source file is, if I upload course data.csv, it will give course data.csv file. Okay, then you assign these two values to your pipeline parameters. Then these values, what happens? You will assign back to the dataset parameters. So source path to the folder name, source file to the file name. Here you can see folder name. For folder name dataset parameter, you are assigning with source path. Next, source file name pipeline parameter, you are assigning to the file name. Now these things you are using in a activity where you are using this folder name and file name. We are using inside our like copy activity dataset. Okay, remember. Now what we will do is, now we will see how exactly our trigger is going to assign values to like source path and the source file parameters, pipeline parameters. For that you need to edit this trigger. Okay, click on event trigger. So keep everything same, click continue. See, now it is saying so source path and source file. Now for that I said, so to get the path name and the file name dynamically, you need to say here trigger path or trigger body dot folder path. Okay, next here trigger body dot file name, file name. So you can see there is one more syntax as well. Okay, we have discussed there is one more syntax as well. So the syntax is here, you can see. So one syntax is trigger body dot folder path, trigger body dot file name you can use. Another syntax is trigger dot outputs dot body dot folder path, triggers dot outputs dot body dot file name. Come back. So this should be a parameter, don't forget. So if you are giving wrong parameters, it will not able to fetch those details. Okay, so these things you need to fetch dynamically. Trigger body dot file, just click OK. Now I am publishing, publisher. Okay, it is publishing. Meanwhile, let me verify all these details. You can see trigger body we have given, dot folder path, trigger file name we have given. Click publish everything. Pipeline parameter, source path, everything is correct. Let's see now. In our storage account only, I will re-upload a new file into my input folder. So I don't have input folder, you can check that. Go inside the global. So I deleted input folder. Now you can delete even output folder, because whatever you are doing with output folder, those things will not reflect in your event trigger, because you configured for your input folder, not for an output folder. Okay, that's why now you see I don't have input folder and output folder, but when I select it dynamically, it will read those paths, everything, and it will pass to our pipeline. So publishing like completed. Come to monitor tab. So come here, upload, select this, go to desktop, course data, you can say course data here. Okay, now I want to upload this course data into input. Select input container, click upload. So when I uploaded, now you come back to your tech refresh. See pipeline ran. Now you just drag right side, you can see pipeline parameter. What values we have received, you can see source path received global slash import, and source file is received like course data.csv. Okay, these things we got it dynamically. We are not hard coded, if you remember. These are pipeline parameters. These pipeline parameter received path and the file name dynamically. Okay, now our trigger is running. Refresh this. So this is succeeded. What it means, it should create a output folder here. Inside output folder, we should be able to see our actual file, that is course data.csv. It's not empty, 199 bytes. Okay, clear? Any doubts with respect to this particular pipeline? So please confirm, friends, till here. If you are clear, other things are very simple. I can go a little bit fast.
Yeah, understand.
Asha, your voice is breaking.
Yes, Mal, I understand.
Oh. Remaining people, okay. I see very few people responding. Raju sir, clear. Surya, Shushmita is clear. Surya, Devashish also clear. Okay, thank you. Now, quickly see how we can do same things with your data lake storage Gen 2. I will not able to show each and everything with respect to data lake storage, but I will show at least minimum things. Okay. So search here. Okay. How to create data lake storage Gen 2? Just we have to say here. So with storage accounts only, we have to create. Just click on storage account to create our data lake storage Gen 2. Click add to create storage account Gen 2. Free trial resource group is interview and questions RG. Next, storage account name. My storage account name, I can say cloud funded ADLS Gen 2 H2S version 2. So this is basically, it will create blob storage. How you can modify this and how you can convert into data lake storage. So it's a flat file structure that you need to convert into hierarchical. So just enable this hierarchical namespace, it will become a data lake storage. So it's a data lake storage Gen 2, because here you can see here selecting V2. V2. Okay, just click view plus create. Create. So whatever folder structure I have created in my storage account, same folder structure I will create in my data lake storage as well, so that it will be easy for you to understand the things.
Malaya,
Yeah, tell me, Shushmita.
this trigger properties are only used when the pipeline is called dynamically, right? When the event trigger should happen dynamically, then we are going to use this trigger properties, right?
Trigger properties you can use to fetch the folder path and file names dynamically. So we don't know what file is uploaded. Okay, in which path this particular file is uploaded. In that case, you can able to fetch those things.
Okay, Malaya. Thank you.
Maybe multiple event triggers you have attached to same pipeline. So what each and every event trigger is going to do is each and every event trigger will fetch different folders, different
Yeah.
files. So, but I don't want to use for processing different files, different copy activities. I want to have a single copy activity which is going to handle all such type of events. All the folders, in all the folders, whatever events are happening, single copy activity should be able to handle. In that case, you can use the trigger properties.
Okay. Thank you, Malaya.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Just click on go to resource. This is storage with data lake storage. See, it's a, you can see it's a data lake storage symbol container. Go inside container. So here also I will create same structure. We can select here like global. You can say I am also going to say here global. Just say here global only. Don't do anything else. Next, I don't want to. So let's create a folder inside. It's a hierarchical. You can able to create the subfolders as well. See add directory. You can able to create the subfolders. Input folder I will create here itself. Save it. So output folder I won't create because it will be created automatically by my pipeline. Okay. Now this is okay. Inside this, whenever I uploaded a file, my pipeline should run. So that's how I need to configure. But now you need to understand global / input folder I have available. Whenever I see file inside this, I should run a pipeline. So for that, quickly pipeline. Create pipeline. This is going to be my second pipeline. Okay, so here I will come in reverse way. First to drag the copy data activity, you know, right? So we can come in reverse way. First to select source data set. So for that, let me create a source data set. This source data set for data lake storage Gen 2. You can say Gen 2. You can say data lake storage Gen 2. Continue. CSV file I will upload. Continue. And this is basically Gen 2 source data set Gen 2. This is I need to connect. I have not connected it. Let me connect once. Click new. We need to create a link for this. So this is a reverse way. Okay? Like data lake Gen 2 connection. Account key by using account key only I'm authenticating, but we have seen by using service principal we can authenticate. Say not V2 storage, we want data lake storage ADLS Gen 2. You can test the connection. And you can create it. Now I want to select the folder. So you know, right? The folder is input global. Inside that I have an input folder. So whenever I uploaded a new file here, that file I need to pick. So as I said, CSV, for CSV you need to select address row. As you don't have data, you cannot click for schema. Click OK. Now as we discussed, wildcard path we need to provide because we don't have any files here. Okay, maybe you may have multiple files. That's why. Next, we selected input. Now come to sync dataset. Sync dataset is easy because we already connection available. Just you need to select the path. CSV I want to load as a CSV. This is my sync dataset for Gen 2. This is use the existing connection which we have established for data lake storage because we want to load data into same storage. So here browse it. You don't have output folder inside. you have just global, you don't have a output folder inside. That's why I will just select till global and I will give output here. So then what happens, output folder will be created dynamically. First as adder, yes, I don't want import schema, all these things we created. Now if you want to come here, auto generate, those things you can able to see. I want to read data from here, I want to load data into here, then I want to create a event trigger for my data like storage gen2. See, you can see event trigger. This is basically for a blob storage V2 we created. Let's create a new trigger, event trigger. This is for adls gen2 event trigger. It's event trigger. Subscription is this. Storage account is adls gen2, and container name let me select as global. And blob path begins with, we know, right? It's input slash, next ends with .csv. Now I don't want to run pipeline when blob is deleted. I want to run only when blob is created. Even I don't want to process when I upload 0 bytes files. Okay, so only this pipeline will run when I upload a like when I upload a data file with some data file. Okay, so you see I'm not providing any annotation. If you want, you can give something for fundy something for filtering these particular triggers. So you want to activate this trigger, yes, immediately I want to activate trigger. And one more thing you remember, so in interview people may ask this question, can we keep a trigger active without attaching to a pipeline? No, you cannot keep a trigger active without attaching to a pipeline. You are not attaching some trigger which is available in ADF, then that particular triggers you need to keep it in inactive. Okay, click continue, click OK. Okay, now before I publish, let's think 1 or 2 times. Yeah, everything is correct. Click publish. So I'm just publishing everything. Come to monitor. Once it is published, then I will go and upload the data in my storage. It is still publishing. Completed. Come here, just upload. Let me just think where I am. You can see we have a global. Inside global we have input folder, so I want to upload file directly inside in this input folder. So you can upload any file, you know, to upload only other data. Let's upload this time DW data something. Yeah, upload. This is also CSV file. Now come to see, when you upload, pipeline should run because blob is uploaded, pipeline should run. Let's see, pipeline is not run. See, ADLS gen2 event trigger is falling, like it is running this particular pipeline. It is succeeded. Come here and go outside global, like out of import. Say output folder created. Inside this, we are able to see dw data.cs. Now I want to delete this entire folder. Let me delete entire folder. You see, nothing is going to happen. When I delete it, my pipeline should not run. You see, my pipeline will not run. ADLS gen2 event trigger. We have like disabled running a pipeline when blob is deleted. If you don't want to trigger a pipeline on deletion of a file, you can ignore such type of things in the event trigger configuration. Okay, this is clear. By this time it should run, but it is not running a pipeline. What it means? So it is working as expected. Now I want to show you by uploading a file, by uploading a 0 bytes file. Zero bytes file. What it can do? I need to upload inside input folder. Click refresh. So upload is finished, but pipeline will not run because for 0 bytes we are ignoring. We turned on the turn on. Okay, clear friends, clear. So I hope everybody is able to answer this particular interview question. So tomorrow we will see how we can. So that is also one of the repeated interview question. What is the difference between schedule trigger and tumbling trigger? So that particular thing also we will see with the practicals. So if you see with the practicals, then you can able to deliver answer very effectively. Okay, any questions here? If no questions, that's all for today, friends. Thank you so much. Thank you.